Leaders that can't apologize, they're not leaders. Full stop. This process I'm talking about, though, is an evolution. I didn't start out this way at all. In fact, I didn't start out with the passion for serving my clients. It was awakened in me when I started seeing that was really the purpose of my life as I went on this self-exploration. So if you're new in business, or you maybe have 5 or 10 employees, you're not going to have a manager retreat and go to New York and invest $70,000 and bring in outside speakers. You're not going to do that. But you can make a commitment to growing your self-leadership. I've read a lot of leadership books, but more importantly than maybe reading the leadership books is just talking to people. Just sitting down and talking to it and being intentional with the conversations you have and giving immediate feedback when you see somebody who's doing something different. If you could reach agreement on your core values, that's a great frame of conversation with people. You say, listen, this is what my life stands for. Everyone in my organization knows I have 7 core values for our business. That is what I want my business to be known for. They all know that. And if there's a deviation in that, if they fall down the expectations, it's easy to have a conversation. And listen, this is what we stand for. This was not met here. But the actual training and the day-to-day walking that out, that's going to have to evolve because we didn't have the time or the money to be able to do it early on. And it starts with you. You have to lead yourself as a leader. What does that mean, Greg? You've got to be able to take ownership of yourself. And I talk about mindset and things, and it's rebounding from the negativity and stuff as quickly as you can and understanding that people are depending on you. So you've got to step up in the time where you may not want to step up and continue to lead by example. Again, I'll tell you where people fail in our business, and this is a little bit of a tangent. People fail in our business when I promote them too quickly, and they believe that being a leader is just telling other people what to do. They fail because people don't follow that. People don't want to follow that. And I don't believe it's millennials or Gen Z or anything like that. I just believe that people don't want to be told what to do, but they would like to be shown what to do. And when they see that it works, they're going to follow it. And I think that's the best way to lead people. Sometimes I got to tell them, hey, listen, you need to do this right now. I've done that a few times. But as a leader, if I'm not teaching people what the importance and the why of things, I'm not really doing the full best I can do to have the biggest impact on them. So there will definitely be an evolution in your training and your leadership. It's easier to lead 10 people than 100 people. It's a lot easier. And you've got to find other people who have leadership ability and get them to lead people. When you've got 100 people, you're going to have 10 managers, probably 15 managers. Usually a 7-to-1, 8-to-1 ratio, manager, assistant managers. So you need to have some people who can help with that level. And those people you need to pour into your team, your 10 managers. You need to, as a leader, you need to pour into those people, make them the best you can make them as far as leadership. And then hopefully they do the same for their team as well. So it becomes a scalable leadership model. But it's important that you first grow yourself. That's the way for true leadership. Some people say, do you think you're a better dad because of your leadership lessons? I actually think I'm a better leader because of my dad lessons. First of all, I had a lot of problems with my first daughter in the sense that she was in another country. I did not have the close relationship I wanted with her. But my first daughter, and I think she'll tell you this, taught me the importance of authenticity. I had to be honest, transparent. I had to be asked for forgiveness when I made a mistake, but I had to also enforce rules and boundaries. So my first daughter, and we have a great relationship now. She's getting ready to go off to college. She's really an extraordinary young woman who's learned to be very independent. Unfortunately, she was gone from me for a year or 2 years. I got her back, and I had some problems with custody and other things like that. That it taught me some painful lessons, and sometimes the best lessons are the painful lessons, right? But she taught me authenticity. If I were not authentic with my daughter, my oldest daughter, I would definitely not have the relationship I have with her today. And I didn't learn how to say I'm sorry for the mistakes I made, because I made a lot of mistakes. One of the things that really chafes me as parents, and there's the thing, I've asked my managers this, how many of you have ever apologized to your kids? Some of them refuse to apologize to their kids. And you got to be careful. You're going to have a wild kid when they go away to college, because they're going to know you're being hypocritical. And they're like, how do you maintain control? Control is an illusion anyway. But here's what happens. Here's the speech. I overreact in that situation, but that does not excuse what happened. I'm sorry. That was not the best reaction for me, but you're still grounded, right? And you have to be sincere about it. Look, I'm really sorry that I acted that way, and I'll do my best in the future not to do it. But that does not let you off the hook for what you did. And so you're still grounded, or this is the punishment. And I'm not going to mitigate the punishment because I acted badly. And that's it. Put the boundary down. So that's a very powerful lesson in leadership, because you have to be able to apologize to your people when you're wrong. Leaders that can't apologize, they're not leaders. Full stop. Now, secondly, my twins taught me the importance of accountability. So authenticity, oldest daughter. Accountability, my twins. And it has got to be instantaneous and constant for accountability, managing their emotions. So you've got to give the feedback right away, because kids are always testing boundaries, and you have to understand what your few core values, your few rules are, and then you have to enforce them constantly. You can never let it slide, and you can't lose your cool when that happens. I'm much better with my younger kids losing my cool, because I already had with my older kid, I lost my temper. My wife does lose her temper with her kids, and then they start crying. And I say to my wife, hey, how did that work out for you? I can discipline my children without getting angry. I've never had to hit my kids, give them times outs. They get punished sometimes. It's pretty rare, actually, because I look at them and they know, uh-oh, I messed up. And they say, and I always make them say, I'm sorry. And then I explain to them why they're in trouble. you know why you're upset? Because we don't act like that in this house. We don't hit each other. We don't break each other's toys. We don't take, we share. And you just explain it very directly. And every time, you cannot let it slide. You must always explain it. The teachers in my kids' school love my kids. They absolutely love them. They are rule followers, and yet they are also independent and autonomous. They're helping and supporting their classmates, and they're very loving kids, and they're sweet. Does that mean they don't get in fights with kids? No, of course they get in arguments all the time. But if they're wrong, you correct them and you move on. You don't do it in a way like, how could you do this? Because a lot of times people, we get our ego engaged with our kids. You're not listening to me, you're not respecting me, I'll show you. No, that's not gonna work, because they're gonna just close off. That lesson can be brought to the workplace too. You've got to be loving, but also you got to put boundaries down. So you got to have that accountability. So authenticity and accountability, I think, making sure that those values are pushed out, that's really what a leader is. And I didn't learn that fully until I became a dad, how to enforce accountability with kids in an unemotional, or not unemotional if you want to have emotions, but in an unconfrontational, unjudgmental way where you just explain to them that they're wrong and this is what you want. And that's helped me grow, I think, as a leader tremendously. I don't like to call my business like a family. Here's a critical problem. Most of us have really dysfunctional families, and we don't want to back our dysfunctional family into our workplace. So while I do care about my people, but I have a biblical caring where I love my friends and family and neighbors as I love myself. That's what the Bible tells me to do. I really strive for that. But I don't like to say family because a lot of people's definition of family is different than mine, or there's an emotional baggage of family. And so I don't like to say that. I always say team as best I can, because I'd like for them to think more of a positive environment, like a sports team or a collaborative group at school, as opposed to a family, because I don't know what their frame of reference for family is. It could be very dysfunctional dad or mom who can't say they're sorry, or who have no accountability. I don't want them to have that. When I say I'm like your dad, that could be an awful paradigm for some people. So I try and stay away from that. And also, it doesn't have appropriate boundaries, because some people didn't always get boundaries when they're kids. And so they think, oh, I'm going to be able to do everything because Greg's like my dad and he's going to let me run. And I'm like, no, I'm an accountable dad. You're going to not do everything. You're going to do your job and do it right here. And they're like, oh, you're not like my father. Those kinds of things. It gets very blurry when you start doing the family metaphor. But we do bend over backwards for our people as if they could be our relatives. But I don't think we need to go that far to say the relatives do the right thing by people. That's a trickier metaphor when you start saying we're a family. And I do know that a lot of businesses that start off by saying we're a family, they stop that at about 100 employees because it gets too hard to be a quote unquote family. And they just say we're a team. And I think that's a better model to push out and explain to people. And you can get the same traction, if not better, being a team, because each team knows you've got a position you got to play and you got to be responsible for that position. Bill Belichick, just do your job. And that was his big poster on the New England Patriots locker room. Just do your job. If you want to work with someone who's already been through there, give me a call, follow me on Instagram. We have plenty of content that will help you grow your business. And we look forward to seeing you at the top.